And it's a line drive to
Key lime margarita?
Yeah. What are you doing?
Just watch.
Whoa.
Hi.
Go for it.
Thanks.
What about me?
Got you covered. Hey!
Whoa.
Hey!
Hey.
Hey.
Lefty O'Doul's drink mixes at these fine stores.
What are you doing? I'm getting the girl back.
Mr. Brown, please. Yes, it's the truth as we see it, not as they sell it. It's the Will and Willie Show with a live studio audience here at the Gold Dust Lounge at Fisherman's Wharf. Brought to you by Lefty O'Doul's Drink Mixes, your bartender in a bottle. I'm Paul Wells.
I'm Will Durst.
And I'm Willie Brown.
And C.W. Nevius.
I'm C.W. Nevius. I am.
Keeping you around for the fourth segment. We're going to talk about
staying, man.
movies.
It's an honor to be here, as I said.
Well, let's talk about the Warriors' new stadium and what's going on with that.
Well,
He's got a hell of an attitude about that. Let me set the...
Since Mission Bay is your baby.
It was.
Yes.
1995, I got elected. And I, frankly, had been the lawyer for some people who were dealing with something called Mission Bay for many years. And they had no idea what to do with it. When I became the mayor, obviously, I had long since abandoned my private participation in the process. And I thought, lo and behold, this is a golden opportunity to figure out how to keep UC from moving to Alameda or moving to Brisbane. UC had agreed to merge with Stanford at the time, and they were in that park near Candlestick, and they were gonna move right into Brisbane. And lo and behold, I said, no. You can't deny the opportunity to receive land. And we have got an opportunity to give them the land, 43 acres to locate in what we would call Mission Bay. Beyond that,
didn't have a name before that.
What?
Didn't have a name before that. Nobody called it Mission Bay.
No, not at that stage.
It was by the channel.
Yeah.
We have a guy in our building. Our building is 10 years old in Mission Bay, and he was one of the first people to move in. He was downtown, he got in a cab, and he said...
No, wait a minute. I think you better tell the people, when you said your building, you mean you physically live in Mission Bay.
I physically live, also mentally. I also mentally live in Mission Bay, so that, both of those things. So,
Well, Chuck, in that regard, when we put together the concept of Mission Bay, I wanted everybody working in Mission Bay to actually live in Mission Bay. So we said Mission Bay would contain 6,900 units of residential housing, with 1,700 of them being in what at that time was called affordable. And everybody connected with the idea of Mission Bay agreed that was a great idea. Knowing, however, that people in the future would not always honor the requirement for affordability, I said affordability had to be built on an ongoing basis with every other square inch of Mission Bay. So the first thing built in Mission Bay was Rick Soro housing.
yep, it was. And our building was the first building, 10 years ago. Guy gets in a cab in the financial district. He says, I'm in Mission Bay, and he gives him the address. And the cab driver said, there's nothing down there. There's no, you have the wrong
Used
address.
to be the Boondocks.
That area
No,
was.
Townsend really was Townsend. Townsend Street. And AT&T, where the ballpark is now, I used to straddle railroad tracks to go home to get around all the traffic to go back to Potrero Hill from the Embarcadero.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that, Paul.
Yeah.
When you said-
I
You
knew
used-
where I
when
was
you-
going.
you said-
It was a shortcut. It was a railroad track behind.
But you said, I used to straddle, and then you stopped, and I wasn't sure where you were going to go with that. What, I said,
That's my training from doing morning radio as lobster, you
I see.
know?
All right.
Yeah. You know where the edge is, and you kind of like, you look over it, and then you drop an innuendo off of it.
That's it.
Well, Mission Bay is great, and thank you, Mayor Brown, Speaker Brown, for giving us this wonderful opportunity to kickstart the city and reclaim a forgotten part. But is anybody going to be able to afford to live here? Is this just going to be billionaires? I mean, where do bus drivers, where do waitresses, where do people who actually work for a living, where are they supposed to live? How do you get here? Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
all right, but wait,
Really?
let me respond. because I'm going to incur the wrath of the nonprofit world when I say what I'm about to say. It was before I became mayor, the city created this whole collection of nonprofits who would build affordable housing. That was almost 30 years ago. Well, as a practical politician, lawyer now, I can tell you that every day of the week, I'm telling any client of mine who has had a mortgage that is within hailing distance of being retired, don't retire your mortgage. Let me help you refinance your operation, because you can now get dollars based on today's value versus dollars based on the value of when you got it. So every nonprofit today could tomorrow produce somewhere in the neighborhood, if they all did it, somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 to $500 million in money.
Wow.
That would be available. And if we also included all of these nonprofit garages in the process, we'd have almost $1 billion of money available to start doing what we need to do to produce workforce housing. Forget the term affordable housing. We ought to be doing, for the bartender who just brought me this vodka.
And we'll call
and
it
it's my
projects.
Fifth
And
vodka of the day.
Well, there'll be
which means that I've
projects
reached-
that will build around the city.
No, they're not projects.
Public
They are-
housing, that's it.
No. If you
Housing
require-
projects, yes.
No, don't do housing projects. Require developers in every one of these fancy facilities to include the affordable component
They
of it.
do for
The
6
workforce.
months.
No,
Then they kick them
well,
out.
you are.
And then they would just keep raising the rates.
As a matter of fact, I have a ticket for you to Wisconsin.
Define affordable, that's the problem. Define affordable, what's affordable? Who qualifies to
You know
get
that place
a
in
break on
Mission,
rent or
the-
whatever?
with the weird architecture? Someone told me that they're going for $7,000 a month for a one-bedroom. Where? On Mission.
The
You know
new-
where the fire was on 22nd and Mission?
The new mission, yeah.
$7,000 a month.
Oh, the rents are unbelievable, it's true, that's all I
Well,
can say.
but they don't have to be that way. The one that we referred to earlier when we talked about where the last north piece of property in Mission Bay
Right.
was being developed, that's an operation that will go somewhere between 700 and 5,000 or 6,000 for the better units in the process.
700 a month?
Yeah, 700 a month. That will be about, I don't know, 30% of those.
How do you choose who gets there?
And how many
Who
roommates
gets
do
that
they have to have to make
Do
the
you know how
rent?
many people are going to apply for a
no matter- I heard
$700 a
that.
month?
No matter what my colleagues in the world of politics say, it's their relatives.
I would like a $700 a month apartment. I don't care how big it is. I want to apply for it.
I lived in a $350 apartment.
Oh, when I first moved to San Francisco, I lived in a rooming house.
was public
on
housing.
California.
I lived
Public
in
housing.
2547 Sutter, apartment 326. It really ought to be designated as a,
You've already got the bridge,
It's
what
on the
else do you
historical
want?
register.
I want everything. What do you mean, what do
It's
I
like the
want?
Academy of Art. Everything should have.
Don't start the,
Aren't they the biggest landlord in San Francisco? They own the most property, the Academy of Art.
well, and when we got so upset about the Google buses, how about the Academy of Art buses? If we could just say that. We had in the Chronicle building a lottery.
Which
for-
one?
Which Chronicle building?
Yeah, because you get that little thing down the alley, too.
It's all the Chronicle building as far as
All
we're
right,
concerned.
all right.
We used to include the Tempest, but not anymore. We don't do that anymore. So we had a lottery for affordable housing for families, and they opened it up to open applications.
Everybody in the,
that
anybody who
want-
worked at the Chronicle.
Anybody want? No. Although most of us could qualify for affordable housing, I would have to say that. No, I mean it was people that qualified, made the level to get affordable housing. They gave out 1,500 applications, and I said, how many units do we have available? And they said 8.
There are some ramshackle shacks that people are parking under 101 right by Potrero Hill. If you go underneath
What
the
about
freeway, you see people that have little shacks that they're parking underneath the support for the freeway.
But those are
They're just there.
$3,200 a month.
Yes. Plus utilities.
Right.
All I do is, I'm going to invite each one of you on this program, the three of you who are here, to see the movie called, what is it? It's after the quake in San Francisco.
San
No,
Andreas.
San Andreas.
San Andreas.
Yeah, I'm an extra in that. Well, they call it background player in
Oh,
SAG
really?
now.
Oh,
Yes,
cool.
I'm going to be the guy who's seen running from the crumbling Bank of America building on a diagonal across.
No kidding.
Kearney. I know because I'm going so slow. And in each take we did all day long, I was slower and slower, that you're going to just see a piece. They're going to make a circle on me when they do the CGI and they'll go.
I'll look for it.
I will be
That's great.
crushed by the Bank of America building in that movie.
Well, that's what the city needs, is a huge earthquake to bring, because remember in '89, everybody ran away back, oh, I can't live here, oh my God, I gotta go back to Tornado Alley where it's safe. And everybody ran
I want to
away.
live where it floods.
And they were giving away residential units in the marina.
The marina,
I
yeah.
have never understood.
Yep.
And that's why the marina became integrated overnight. A whole lot of brothers and
Are
sisters.
you serious? They were giving them away?
No, they were not giving them away. They
But
were selling
cheap.
them. As
Yeah,
a-
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
cheap.
In
Oh,
essence,
yeah.
in
Yeah.
essence.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Everything in the marina that has anybody of color came as a result of the fear of the quake.
Well, we bought it in
As a matter of fact,
89.
when they sold it, they didn't tell us there had been a quake.
Debbie and I bought in the Sunset in '89, 5 months before the earthquake.
Oh,
And I remember property values, because property values were pretty high and interest rates were pretty high in '89. There was like a little boomlet. And then, boom, we didn't get our equity back till like '97.
Right.
And then it went up again till 2001, and then there was the first dot-com bust. Boom, it went down after 2001. And then, of course, it went back up. And then 2007, boom, it went down. And now I don't see an end to this one. I don't see.
No,
where
you're back up, though, Will.
Yeah, I
You're
know.
way up.
But we live in the Sunset. We don't live in the city of San Francisco. We live in the county of San Francisco.
And you know, I always wondered why they called it the Sunset. And then somebody told me, nobody has ever seen sun in that part of
You never see the damn sunset.
No, the
Might as well call it the Unicorn
No,
District.
the sun set in 1940, and that was the last time. It hasn't set since then. Probably you know, the other thing about it is, we got so complacent about earthquakes. When we were first married, my wife and I have been married 30 years. We were first married, we live in the Richmond district. We live in a wood frame, 2-story house. I'm from
Why
Colorado.
didn't you keep it?
I wish I had. I come from Colorado. What do I know about earthquakes? So my wife is talking on the phone, and we have an earthquake in this wood frame house. I mean, we're talking some shaking. And I come running down the hall going, it's an earthquake! And my wife covers the receiver and said, it's San Francisco. We have a lot of earthquakes. It was like no big deal. And then in '89, we all panicked.
Yeah.
According to Brian Rice of SanFranciscoMovieTours.com, this San Andreas is the 16th time in motion picture history that the Golden Gate Bridge has been destroyed.
Oh, like 4 times in the last year.
16 times.
Except,
Star Trek 2?
let me tell you, the best movie scene of the Golden Gate Bridge is when the monkeys come from under the side of the
That's any weekend at the Golden Gate Bridge, actually. It's,
Oh, the movies did once paint in
What are you
CGI
saying?
the Bay Bridge
What are you
orange.
saying, CW? I thought this is a bridge and tunnel, people.
I sometimes have flashbacks. I don't know how to explain it. It's one of those things.
What was the one with the octopus? Which one was that?
It came from
Came
beneath the sea.
Yeah,
Thank you, Brian.
Ray Harryhausen takes apart the
Like
Golden
where
Gate
else
Bridge.
would it come from, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
obviously it's going to come from beneath the sea, for heaven's sake. Watch the sea, everybody.
It crawled up the tower.
The Chronicle had a great shot on Sunday in their CW component of operation. Not yours.
CW Nevius
but they have
part
another.
of the
That's how I
paper.
refer to it.
They have another, where they had all those people on the bridge. You remember when all the people were on the bridge?
Oh, the
for
37, the
celebration, right?
opening,
And
yeah.
Right.
And it's
And I spent a half a day.
Looking for
Michael.
yourself? Oh, the 50th anniversary in
Oh, that's a
'87,
good one.
when it flattened out.
I was in
yeah.
my lobster suit
Looking for
on the
yourself.
middle of the bridge.
Oh,
It took us
really?
20 minutes to get to the middle of the bridge and 2 hours to
get off the
get
bridge.
through all the people
The lobster.
walking onto the boat.
And that's the time when Dianne Feinstein, who, who was disturbed with my hats, did not like the fact that I was wearing a hat that was politically incorrect because it was one with skin. It was made of skin.
Oh,
She
leather.
took my hat and threw it off the bridge.
She did not.
Yes, she
She
did.
did not.
Yes, she did.
She owes you a hat.
You don't know how many brothers said to me, "Why didn't you throw her off the bridge?"
And on that note, we're out of time, gentlemen.
Hey, C.W. Nevius, thanks for joining us,
Pleasure
man.
to be here. Thank you for
And thanks to Nick Bovis and his family, the Gold Dust Lounge crew. Be sure to tip generously. And our guest, C.W. Nevius. Of course, Lefty O'Doul's Drink Mixes, our sponsor. Go get some bottles. We usually have them on display here. I'm Paul Wells.
I'm Will Durst.
And I'm Willie the Brown.
Let's do this
And
again.
I'm Chuck Nevius.